Who wants to listen to that? Hey everyone, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're driving the 2021 Toyota Prius XLE. This particular Prius is the 2020 Special Edition, and I know that because it says it on my little key case here and on the floor mats, and you'll also know because it's got black 5-spoke wheels, black hybrid badges, black mirrors, a couple other black accents to make this thing just look the part, look special for the final few moments of the 4th generation Prius. This is now sort of the facelifted version of the car that we were introduced to in late 2015, early 2016. As you can see on the back, we've got these blacked out badges here as well. This is the XLE trim, so it's like one from the top. There should be a limited model right above that that has a few more features. This is also a front-wheel drive car. We do not have the all-wheel drive in this special edition. Oh yes, the back seat actually has a pretty decent amount of room. I was shocked when I got in this for the first time. I couldn't believe how much room there is in the back seat. I'm 5'11". This seat is adjusted to fit my driving position, and no problem at all. Over here, seat's a little more further forward, and my legs don't even touch. I mean, there's plenty of headroom as well back here. Got a couple more inches above me. We've got cup holders right here, or an armrest, or whatever you think. Back seat's great. I wanted to start back here because it's something positive I can say about this Prius. We've also got USB ports back here to charge your phone, to charge 2 different phones, which is awesome. Well, this thing is still just looking eggish as ever. This design has been around, like I said, since 2015. We're probably going to be seeing the next generation Prius pretty soon. This design is kind of getting a little stale, in my opinion. I think that the Prius has sort of always looked like this. And it's sort of just like the stereotypical hybrid egg car look. And I think that at this point people are just over it because there's so many different better looking hybrid cars now at this point that this design is just probably on its way out. I'm sure the next one won't really look very Prius-y, but I guess we shall see. Oh yes, I don't want to forget this. Even though it's a 2021, it's a 2020 edition, but they've sort of saved themselves on calling it a 2020 because they're only making 2020 of these cars. So man, if you get your hands on one of these, you are one lucky person. The 2020 edition only comes in this red, and then there's like a pearl white also that it's available in. Moving past the floor mats, the rest of the interior is very much Prius-y. And also before you even view the interior, you smell it. Every single Prius I've ever been in sort of just smells like a Prius, just like eco-plastic rental car. Somehow they end up making it smell like an animal too, even though I don't think there's any animal products used in here. But very interesting. We do have our power button here. Normal just Toyota chime. Our cluster is of course up here in the middle, and I don't really know why they do this. If I had to guess, I would just say because this car is sold in left-hand drive and right-hand drive markets in mass quantities, and maybe that just makes it easier for them to, you know, do the dashboard and whatnot. Since this isn't the limited trim, we only have a 7-inch infotainment display, which has wired Apple CarPlay, and it also has Android Auto now as well. It's okay. I mean, it's like that weird matte finish on the screen that Toyota is still obsessed with for some reason, so I'm not huge on that. Our piano black though is metallic down here on the console and around the shifter and everything. Our drive mode selectors, it is like a tuxedo black type metallic paint, so that's kind of neat. We also have that over here on the steering wheel and on the window switches. Of course, we have a wasteland of beige gray headliner. There's no moonroof on this car at all. And then we also have this sort of fake brushed aluminum trim that moves about if you touch it. And then the seats, they feel very vegan. I don't think these are real leather. There's no way can they be. They kind of feel like Tesla seats a little bit, just like that vegan leather feel there. The center console, it's a little bit irritating. it doesn't open the correct way. It only opens this way. So if you have a passenger that wants to get in it, it's very inconvenient for them as well. But you can put your phone cord in there and your phone. There's also a little tray right here, and that shuts in there nicely, so that's fine. We've also got like the normal car charger port there, USB port for your Apple CarPlay, 2 settings for your heated seats. There are no cooled seats in this Prius. There's not really much new for 2021. A couple of tweaks on the infotainment, and then of course this 2020 special edition, even though it's not 2020, it's 2021, and the model year of the car is 2021, but gloss over that and just appreciate that they gave us a special edition Prius, because that's kind of cool. Like every other Prius ever, we have this little knob thing that sticks out of the dash, and it moves 3 different ways. Park is a button over here, which we're in right now. When you're in reverse, it beeps. And it's extremely hideous when you're backing up and there's something behind you, because not only... I'm going to shut that off for a second. It's really bad when you're backing up and there's something behind you, because not only do you get the reverse beeping, you also get the parking sensor beeping, and it's like a double beep. Plus, you can hear the government-regulated noise that the car has to make when it's backing up, so it's just extremely loud when you're backing up when there's something behind you. Drive is down and to the left. We've also got B mode for our, correct me if I'm wrong, our regen braking as well. I've just been driving it around in D because I don't know much about Prii, so I've been driving around getting oat milk lattes and avocado toast because I feel like that's what Prius owners do. So I've just been trying to make the most out of my couple days with this 2020 special edition 2021 Prius. Do get lots of electric car spaceship noises when you're driving around in this thing, especially when you're in EV mode. It is also a seamless transition over to the 1.8 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine with a combined power output of 121 horsepower. That 1.8 liter has less than 100 horsepower itself. So combined, we've got 120. That's foot to the floor. It's really slow. I mean, this is one of the slowest cars that I've driven this year. I think the CHR would leave this thing for dead. It would absolutely eat it up and just absolutely demolish it in a drag race. I've just floored it and that lady has no idea. Oh, speaking of cyclists though, very on brand for the Prius, new for 2021, we have a pedestrian and cyclist detection system to make sure you don't run over any of our pedestrian friends. I wonder if I can make it out before this car. I'm gonna have to go flat out. Here we go, flat out. Oh yes. And there's the speed limit, up to 45. A little bit of tire squeal. These are, of course, the eco-friendly, non-rolling resistant tires that you also used to find on the Scion FRS, which is pretty cool. I don't think they do that anymore. But these tires make a lot of noise. They're very dramatic, which is cool because when you're being the non-typical Prius driver, you can take this thing around corners quickly, and it makes a lot of noise, and it's very dramatic. And it makes it kind of fun to drive. I'll demonstrate once we get up to this roundabout up here, where the Prius is actually a little bit of fun. Even though I failed to mention this earlier, I'm sure it's a given that that 1.8 liter and electric motor are backed by a CVT, and it's like an old school CVT. It's like the one that we found in the CHR, where it just sort of moans and groans and gets upset at you for giving it any more than 20% throttle. Or just every lawnmower at 8 a.m. Even though overall this interior is pretty uninviting and bland, they do at least give you a leather or fake leather or something wrapped steering wheel, which is nice. I don't mind the steering wheel, actually. The steering wheel is not bad. It's a good size. It feels good in my hands. It could be maybe a little bit thicker, but maybe it's weight savings. This thing does only weigh about 3,000 pounds. So it's quite a light car, which makes up a little bit for it only having 120 horsepower. Overall comfort in the Prius is not bad. I really enjoy the seats. They're very soft and plush. It's very forgiving. It's easy to drive. The ride is very soft. Of course, you get lots of body roll through corners. I think just everything combined with being the powertrain especially the CVT. The lackluster interior, just everything about this car, it doesn't feel new. It feels like a 2015, or maybe even older actually, if you didn't have the Apple CarPlay. Honestly, if you ignored the infotainment, I would guess that this car was made in 2012, and I'm just being brutally honest here. It does not feel like a new car. It doesn't smell like a new car. I'm gonna do some rare Priusing here. You can hear the owner's manual. There's like 8 books for the owner's manual, and they all just slosh around in the glove compartment. It's very obnoxious. Yeah, you see that? You do get a lot of tire squeal under very mediocre cornering there. That was only like a 20-mile-an-hour corner, and it was howling. Now that we are on the highway, I definitely want to show off some of the driving aids that this car has that I'm actually pretty impressed with. We have a lane keep assist, which is always nice to have, which also works as sort of like a steering assist. If we go ahead and set our cruise control, we also have radar guided cruise control that we can set our distance on. As you can see, the car is steering. It doesn't do as good of a job as a Hyundai or a Kia, but it does a pretty good job actually. I was very impressed with this yesterday when I tried it out for the first time. I've been hovering my hands over. I don't fully trust it, especially next to a charter bus like that, but it's a pretty good system. The fact that they've integrated that into this pretty old car is awesome. I'm happy to see new technology like that in this car that is in many other ways very outdated. So let's now get into pricing and considering if the Prius is actually a smart purchase or a worthy buy. So the base model Prius starts at about $25,000, which is very cheap. That is a very cheap for a car in 2021. This particular Prius is about 32 grand. Now, when you get above the 30s, it becomes a little bit iffy because you kind of have to think back to other Toyotas that could compete, even though they're not technically in the same segment of this car. The Corolla Hybrid, the RAV4 Prime. We had a RAV4 Prime a few months ago. Actually, I think it was a little bit earlier on this year. That car was great. It was very quick. It looked great. It drove great. The interior was a little bit more modern. It wasn't that much more expensive, and honestly, if you get a lower trim level of that, it would probably be just about the same price as this. Way more capable, and I just don't see why you would even consider one of these. I don't think any new buyers are going to be coming into the market looking for a Prius, because anyone that's buying this has probably already had so many Prii that they're just familiar with this car and just think nothing of it. They go Prius after Prius after Prius after Prius. Toyota and Lexus have a lot of cars like that. It's very interesting to observe that side of the market. But I think any new buyer coming in is going to consider a RAV4 Prime, a Corolla Hybrid, an offering from Hyundai or Kia or some other competing manufacturer. The Prius is a little bit old and a little bit out of style, I would say. The Prius was a big thing when I was growing up. In fact, I learned to drive on a Prius, a second generation Prius. I took driver's ed through Sears, and they had a whole fleet of cars. They had like Pontiac G6s and Chevy Malibus and one Prius. And when I pulled in that day, I was like, oh God, please don't let me have the Prius. Sure enough, I did have the Prius. I learned to drive as a 14-year-old on a second gen Toyota Prius. So, I don't know, I guess the Prius has a little special place in my heart. But even back then it was uncool, so what is it now, man? Like 15 years late. Well, I didn't drive 15 years ago, but the Prius I learned to drive on was like 15 years old. All right, everyone, and we are actually going to end today's drive pulling up to the warehouse. The test route is not fully done yet. I'm hoping that they're making progress on it so we can get back to our normal daily motor test route. But for now, we have to make do with what we can with other similar routes around the area. I'm going to demonstrate how irritating it is to back this up to a wall or something. Yep, so all that beeping. I don't know what that beep was, probably because I was getting close to the curb. And then Who wants to listen to that? I don't understand. And I don't know that there's any way to turn that off either. It's so painful to listen to that. It's absolutely outrageous. Anyways, let's go ahead and power this thing down. Pew! It feels like a spaceship. So, overall, it's a little bit tough. This is another one of those cars that's really just very niche buyer, niche market. Little old ladies that have been driving Prius since the early 2000s. Really anyone that's been driving these cars for a long time. I don't think they're really going to attract any new buyers to the market. It's certainly not a terrible car to drive. You know, there's nothing about it that's really just bad. It is very outdated. It does feel very cheap. I think it's a little bit overpriced in these upper trim levels, but I mean, is what it is. I guess I think that I would probably go for the all-wheel drive model just because it'd give you a little bit more practicality, especially in Michigan. But anyways, those are my thoughts on this 2021-2020 Special Edition Prius. This has been Christopher Brower with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.